Continuing on with the Clone Wars in the Nightsister Witches arc, I hopped on over to the next episode on the list, Season 4, Episode 20, Bounty. As we know from the previous episode, Ventress is all alone. And now Ventress has been forced into exile and is seeking a new life among the vagabonds and castaways of the Outer Rim. If you like these Clone Wars videos and want to support the channel, consider clicking that join button down below to become a member of the Fleet. This is extremely subtle, but it's something that I loved. When Ventress steps off of the ship that she arrived on, the bright light hits her face and she kind of puts up her hand like her eyes need to adjust. This is just showing the passage of time, how she's been cooped up on this ship. I know that's probably a LOL, why is he talking about that kind of moment, but I love me some attention to detail. So Ventress is now on Tatooine. She walks into a cantina, orders a drink, is approached by a bar patron who overstays his welcome, and she ignites her lightsaber point blank into his belly. The bar stops for a brief moment. Ventress says, "I'm not much of a talker," and then the bar goes back to normal. Obviously, this is a nod to the sorry about the mess moment in A New Hope, but this is the kind of stuff I love about the universe of Star Wars. Seedy locations with nefarious folks. I loved this moment. It's a nice breath of fresh air for me after a lot of witchcraft and wizardry we saw on Dathomir. Turns out, Bossk is in the cantina. He buys Ventress a drink, and it also turns out that the dude that Ventress killed was a part of Bossk's crew, and he wants Ventress to join his crew. And then the next scene was completely unexpected for me. We see Dingar, we see Boba Fett, the bounty hunters that we all know are kind of in the same crew. I had no idea that this was the case. It's interesting, and for whatever reason, when I think of bounty hunters in Star Wars, I've always thought of individuals vying for jobs, not full crews, more like freelancers just trying to get their own gigs and not working together. Maybe working together here and there, I guess, but not full-blown crews. This has kind of shifted my perspective of a lot of bounty hunter stuff because it's not something I've ever really considered. So there's a job that the bounty hunter crew needs to get done, but since Ventress killed their sixth man, she has to fill in for him on the job in order to repay her debt to the crew. I like Ventress in this moment where she's kind of talking to everybody. She's the complete fish out of water, but she doesn't really display any sense of unease. She's willing to take part in the job. I'm guessing a lot of her attitude and perceived confidence comes from the fact that she could probably annihilate anyone standing around her right now. In her mind, I imagine that Bosk's threats are laughable, but she's kind of playing it cool, going along with things. I just love the concept of this assassin, this warrior, someone who has seen combat for days, someone who has been in the stickiest situations and fought against the most deadly enemies, joining a crew of misfits. I really like it. We cut to the crew talking to a guy named Major Ragoso, I think his name was. I think that's how it was said. Ragoso. Anyway, Ragoso briefs them on their mission, and their mission is to protect some precious cargo on a sub-tram. Again, something I didn't really consider. Seems like most bounty hunters get paid to complete some dastardly deeds. This seems to be more of a security detail, unless of course there's something else fishy going on here, which will most certainly be the case. The reason they have to use the sub-tram to deliver cargo is because this particular planet is so pressurized that if a ship landed on the surface, it would implode. I like this a lot as an explanation. You know, so often in Star Wars, hell, not just Star Wars, any science fiction, science fantasy, whatever kind of show or movie, planets are often a lot like Earth. Whether it be similar gravity, similar atmosphere, similar terrain, vegetation, you name it. This explanation about pressure is a neat little tidbit of information that I appreciate, kind of showing the variety of locations and planets. Kind of wish there was more of that though in the show, in the Star Wars universe, in the movies. So the crew hops on the elevator to go down to the sub-tram. Boba asks Ragoso the same question that I was thinking. Why hire bounty hunters for this particular mission? That's exactly what I was thinking. Do you guys have a security force or a military or some local methods to keep your own shit safe? I mean, apparently there's some marauders or raiders going after this particular cargo, and what they've tried in terms of security has been ineffective. And if that's the case, well, hey, Ragoso, your society might have bigger problems than you think if you can't protect a box. As soon as they dispatch on the tram, the raiders start their hunt. The bounty hunters all take up positions to guard the tram. Raiders hop on the tram and begin to scatter around like cockroaches. I'm gonna take a wild guess here. A wild guess as to what's in the cargo, because I'm assuming we'll find out by the end of the episode, right? So my guess is that it's a living creature, and I'm gonna guess that it's like the leader of this society's pet or something? The king's pet? I'm gonna take a wild guess here and say that by the end of the episode, the cargo will be opened and like a little kitty cat looking creature will hop up on the king's lap. That's probably wrong. It's probably really dumb. And if you've seen this episode and that is not the case, you probably just went, huh? Why would you think that? So the raiders make their way inside of the tram. The bounty hunters are able to dispatch the first wave, but then more of them just hop on to the tram. It's an all-out brawl. Ventress, for whatever reason, was waiting to ignite her lightsabers, but when she does, the game seems to change. She's no longer fighting hand-to-hand. She's completely annihilating anyone in her path. A droid bounty hunter by the name of C-21 does this like spinning blaster move, which I thought was neat. Everyone in the know gets down and he just spins his upper body as his legs stay stationary while laser bolts fire in complete circles around him. It's just a frantic move that's pretty damn visually satisfying. So at this point, Dengar has been knocked off the tram and Bosk has been knocked off the tram as well. The bounty hunters' numbers are dwindling. Eventually, C-21 is knocked off, and Latz is knocked off, and Major Ragoso is killed. As Boba Fett and the Raider leader are fighting, the cargo box falls open. A young woman is inside, so my guess was way off. It wasn't a kitty cat. But it was a living thing. I'm really curious where this is all going. So far, I've really enjoyed the action in this episode. It's fast-paced and fun, a lot of quick footwork and hand-to-hand combat, crazy waves of raiders as the bounty hunters hold their own, but are beginning to fall left and right out of commission, all while the tram is hurtling down the track. Normally we see heists in a movie and shows from the robber's perspective, right? This was a way to watch an attempt from the inside. It kind of reminded me of a tower defense video game in a way. Waves of enemies come over and over, fight them off, but they keep coming. It turns out everything that we thought, or at least I thought, about this episode was pretty wrong. The Raiders' leader is actually the brother of the girl who was inside of this cargo box. The mission that the bounty hunters are on isn't simply moving something from point A to point B. They're assisting in a kidnapping of sorts. They're being paid to participate unknowingly in the abduction of a person. So the raiders aren't really raiders, they're rescuers. They're here to rescue one of their own. I really liked that twist. My stupid ass cargo box cat creature guess was really dumb. This was great. The Raider leader throws a smoke bomb, seems to disappear for a second. Ventress is still on the hunt. I'm not sure if she fully knows what happened or not, or who these people are. She came late into the scene. I don't believe she heard that they were brother and sister, so she's still in like bounty hunter protect and deliver the cargo mode. I'm very curious if she's gonna change her tune when she finds all of this out. We'll see. So Ventress and the Raider leader begin to fight. Ventress bests the brother. Eventually the girl and her brother are shackled. There's an amazing moment while they're all talking. I really thought Ventress was gonna let them go. I thought she was going to show a little bit of sympathy. The girl talks about being ripped from her home and her family. This seems to tug on Ventress, despite being visually shaken, or at least contemplating what to do, or seeing herself in this girl. She continues with the mission with every intent, so it seems, of delivering the cargo that they were paid to deliver. And she's taking charge of the entire operation. Boba is of no significance to her. She kind of sees him as a joke. She says she's going to deliver the cargo and she wants half of the payment. So the tram stops at the final destination. The leader, the king, whatever, I can't remember if they ever said his name, he's standing there next to the tracks, waiting for his cargo to be delivered. We find out that the girl that was inside of this cargo box was actually going to be his bride. I really like this turn of events. It's at this moment where I, and I'm suspecting everyone, believed Ventress was going to turn a new leaf. When she discovers that the girl, who she saw herself in, was going to be forced into marriage with some shitbag, it felt like the perfect time to show a new side of Ventress, and that is exactly what happens. Ventress puts Boba inside of the cargo box, and when the leader opens it up, that's who he sees. One of the most interesting creative decisions I've found in this episode was the audience never hearing Ventress's name. She doesn't tell anyone her name, not the crew, not anyone in this episode. We never hear it. It's as if we're watching a new person. She's cast away her old ways and become someone completely different. Not hearing her name the entire episode was a really interesting creative decision, whether it was intentionally meant to convey rebirth or not. I really liked this episode, a lot. It was simple, but layered. I'm really curious if this is the last time we see Ventress in the show. I kind of hope it is, because this was a solid send-off for her character. She's turned a new leaf, she's seeking a different life. It's just a perfect way to say goodbye to Ventress, a complicated character who I once assumed was just cool lightsaber character number 17 with fangs and a neat name, but that couldn't be further from the truth. She's layered, she has depth, especially in this arc, and if this was the last time we see her in the show, I think her send-off was fantastic. On to the next episode. HelloGreedo, out.